What's up, people? We're back. Episode 15 of Mentality Focus podcast. So, we touched on this. We touched on the point of the mistakes that we made in business and freelancing on the last episode of this podcast. And I thought this subject is so good and it's so broad. We could talk about this literally for hours.
Yeah.
Um, I was we had so much content. We had so much content to go over that basically we decided to do a part two of this. So actually, let's start from the beginning, Alan, because
Okay.
where do you when was there a moment when did the moment in your life come that you realized, like, okay, right now I want to start a business, or I need to start a business? Like, why business? Why not just work a corporate job? Because I know that you also worked as a bureaucrat for some time. So
Yeah.
tell me,
Yeah.
tell us about that.
Well, um, this is my situation is like a little bit like different from the rest of the people because I had my dad by that time. Uh, but the time when I was a kid, he was like working in several companies and stuff. The situation is that one day he saw one guy like falling from a high part because it was part of the people who are giving like maintenance to machinery and so on. So this guy died, and the company like became like totally greedy. Yeah, like they they basically they gave whatever they wanted to the widow, and then like it was like, yeah, well, people like we feel so bad about this and so on, but like you need to go back to work. So basically in that moment, like my dad started to have like issues with the companies and stuff. Then at some point, like he decided to quit like those companies and start to to do like freelancing. So I think that was an influence like deep down in me because he started to be a freelance, and since I was a kid and we have like not that so much money, like all the time, like I was going to work with him and stuff. Like basically I know all the fucking street markets in here, and that's the reason why. Then as you mentioned, at some the point in my life I apply to try to be a bank employee. The situation with the bank employees that I went to the interview and I did not pass the interview. But the interesting is that I did not pass the interview, not because I was stupid. I passed the interview because they judged in the bank that I was like way too ambitious to be to be part of the bank staff. They mentioned something like, what are your goals like to short and medium term? And I had a great idea to come and say like, yeah, like I want to buy a house. So immediately after I answered that, like they discard me because I don't know, like in the Netherlands, but here at least in Mexico, like you have like this mindset. Um, you represent like some danger to the bank because like you they say that you are more proclived to make a fraud or to launder money or some shit and stuff. Shit that I found like hilarious because this one is HSBC, and is the bank that everybody knows that is laundering millions from the narco traffic. The only situation is that like if you do not have millions in HSBC, well, like you are not going to launder your money because you don't have the enough money to do that. So, and yeah, like later, like I was a bureaucrat. Like I can tell you that it was like the worst part of my professional life. Like I swear by God, being a bureaucrat, it gives to you like some certain status. It gives to you certain um how how do you say, like all the nice things that they give to you, like, yeah, you know, like take this car so you go to this nice restaurant and you have a discount. Oh yeah, you know, like here have some coupons, and with these coupons, like you can go to this hotel that is not, you know, like that expensive, but it is not that cheap. It's like for the medium upper class, and then like you can go in there and to make holidays and take your picture and tell to your friends like, oh yeah, look at me, like I'm achieving something in my life. I'm not just sitting in the behind a desk. I'm working for fucking papers that at the end of the day means nothing. So that's let's say that that's the nice thing about like to be a bureaucrat. But yeah, in the other side is stupid. Like you manage to see like all the stupid things that the bureaucrats are like doing, how like they are wasting time, how they're wasting their life, um, how the bosses like are treating them, because like really is just stupid, like how they're treating each other, and all of these like in short term, like if you are like trying to improve your life and to do like something with it, something meaningful, it starts to kill this starts to kill your soul. This starts to kill you inside, because you just start to realize that I'm sitting in here, I'm producing papers like for another office, and nobody's giving a shit about it. Like I'm just a person behind a desk, like doing a paper. And if tomorrow I get sick and I do not come, or I die, or whatever happens, like nobody's going to miss me, nobody's going to remember me. Like my job is so common, and it's so simple that anybody can come and do it. And I think that was the reason why, like at some point I was not able to stand, like to stay in there, even when I have like a boss that was not like that awful. And when I finished the time that I have in there, like she told me, yeah, well, you know, like I would like you to have in my team. Like right now we are not hiring, but I will speak with the people of human resources, and they will send you to another area. Then when my area opens hiring again, like they will transfer you to me again and stuff. And I was like, yeah, well, you know, like thanks for thanks for the offer, but you know, like I'm leaving. That's it. Like I'm dead inside enough, so I'm leaving, and that's the story of how I was a bureaucrat.
Okay. Yeah, because but why where did it come from that you, of course you have the story from your dad, but also your story that you were just dying inside by working by working in a corporate job, but especially government. I think government is really fucked up to work for. Also also over here in Europe, the like when somebody has worked for the government for too long, it's not a good sign, because like the private, like of course in the private sector, like there's always money on the line, but in the public sector it's very different. Because the public sector, they can waste as much money as they want. They just ask for bigger budgets, and they also have to justify the fact that they take bigger budgets. So what happens is that they get a particular task, or like a particular like they have to rebuild some road or whatever, like whatever they need to do, and somebody gets instructions to do it, and they go over budget. It's like, oh well, so what? Yeah, it's not such a a big problem. Yeah,
You
like
just give us more money.
yeah, just give us more money and we'll do it. Like blah blah blah. In the private sector, man, there is money on the line. The competition is going to take you out if you're going to screw up like their project. If you screw up,
Yeah.
your competitor is going to take you out. It's easy as that. So that's why that also the people that are working in these bureaucrats in those bureaucratic roles, that they are not very productive. They tend to be very they tend to be very lazy.
Yeah,
I don't want to
the
generalize, but this is
no, totally, I'm totally agree with that. Like the people in the public sector, like um, they just go in there, they sit and they cover like the hours that they need to cover, and they do the shit that they need to do. Like you cannot ask for applause to them, and they are not willing to give applause. They have this tendency to be like so selfish and so self-centered. And when you start to check like who is the people who is like the bosses and stuff, you realize that it's people who really has no experience. It's people who just get into the it's people that just get into the public sector because somebody is their relative in another area, or the some relative is a politician and they put them in there because of that. So I have two examples. When you mentioned about the budget, one day I arrived to my workplace and I saw my boss like like so nervous and stuff, and I was like, okay, like what's the deal? And she said, well, like the I have a person that went to a full trip to Europe. All expenses are paid by us, and the situation is that I need to justify all these trips because right now there is not commerce trade fairs, there is no like special cultural events, like there is nothing going on, and I need to cover 3 months of traveling and expenses. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is going to be like quite difficult to cover. And she said, yeah, well, but like is the cousin of the director. So what do you think that is going to happen if I do not do this? Of course, she will be out. And then, well, my time where I was in there, like one day, like I took a lunch, and it was like some kind of balcony that we have in there, and I was in there like having my lunch, and then like one guy came, and it took me like some minutes to recognize him because this guy, he was in the university with me. We were colleagues about that time. The situation is that it took some time to me to recognize this guy because this guy was like so common, like so forgettable, like nothing special about him. That there was no different. There was no different the classroom if he was in the class or he was not in the class, and that's the reason why it took me like some time to recognize him. And then like I recognize him, and then like yeah, we started to talk. It was cool in the beginning. Later he said, yeah, I am boss in this area, and oh man, that's cool and so on. And after I met him, like every time, like I don't know if he was like follow me or what was the deal, like. Or I used to find him in the parking lot all the time, and all the time like he was like trying to show off, like, oh yeah, like did you see my brand new car and stuff? And I was like, yeah, well, like you see that car over there? Oh yeah, it's cool one. Yeah, that's my car, and I already paid for it, and you don't. So, and he was, oh yeah, yeah, like I live in this area in the city and so on. And I was, ah yeah, cool, like I live in this other area. And all the time he was like oh whoa, like I did not expect this. um One time also, like we were like speaking about like to getting lost, and he said like, yeah, well, like here to live in the south of the city is like it's like to live abroad. And I was like, come on motherfucker, like I live abroad, I went to have holidays, I lost myself 3 times in 3 different countries in 3 days. So when I told this, like, oh, he was also like, so again, like at the end of the day, you realize that these people, they have no life experience, they have no professional experience, like they have no experience at all. They are just in there because somebody like make a phone call, and I'll say like, yeah, I need this guy to be in there. So to the people of the audience, like, okay, like maybe you go to the public sector, or maybe even you make it to the private sector. But at the end of the day, like, what do you want, like, for yourself? Like, yeah, money is nice and so on, but nothing that can compare it to the joy that you're going to have if you start to build like something with your own hands, like from the ground.
Yeah, but was that the reason that you jumped into business? Because was it was it the fact that you couldn't deal with bosses, or that you could not deal with corporate structures, or was it only money? Like what was it for you?
I will say that is the three of them. To be honest, like I am quite rebel, and I have problems actually, like reporting to bosses and stuff. Then the corporate structure is the same situation. Like somebody is going to be in there, and even if you are like smart, efficient, like you have like lifetime experience, expertise in your field, and so on, like you are not going to climb higher. You are not going higher because you have not the contact. You are doomed to be in there like all your life if you decide to stay in there. That's the other reason that the people needs to think about it. To the people of the audience, like, yeah, well, think about it. You land a good job in the corporate or private sector, but at some point, like you are going to find that the nephew or the son of one of your bosses, like is going to be your boss, even when you have like 10 or 15 years like working in there. He just like finished college or whatever. And the other point is that, yeah, like nothing, like really nothing can match the satisfaction. Like you start something and you start to see that one like growing up and like giving you like the money and stuff. It's a sense of achievement that I cannot describe to the audience. Like really, there's something that I wish to everybody that they experiment by themselves.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. I actually I fully agree with that, and definitely, personally for me, it's like the motivator is only money. I don't care about anything else, and I don't care how I make money. But right now, like I work a job, like I work in sales, and it's very lucrative for me. And that's also this job is also the reason that I put freelancing to the side, because this is the fastest way. I always choose the fastest route to money. I want to get cash in the bank as soon as possible, and if that's a job, I don't give a fuck. It's really all about the money, and the fastest way to scale my income is just make more sales, and that's it. And yeah, of course, with freelancing, when I was a copyright when I'm copywriting, it's a little bit more complicated. It's a little bit more complicated, and it takes a lot. It takes some more time to build up a relationship with your clients, to so that they pay you big bucks every month, for you to just write their advertising, or their emails, or whatever, or their Instagram captions, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, like the reason, yeah, that's also that's also the reason that I jumped into this job. But I wouldn't recommend anybody to work in the public sector, for the reasons that we spoke about before. But especially if you have ambition, if you want to build something, if you want to build something for yourself, yeah, you definitely need to be in the private sector, and preferably in a job where your prospects of making a good career are bright. And in my case, I chose this job, and just in this specific company, because I see that that's the case.
Yeah,
Hit your targets, and you're going to level up financially. And at some point, if I'm going when I close my own deals, like that's when it really takes off. And of course, because you learn the skill, this you can apply that skill also to anything else that you're going to do, either in business, or in freelancing, like what we spoke about in the last episode. Yeah, so I recommend I wouldn't recommend anybody to get into the public sector. First of all, they're not going to pay you big bucks over there. And second of all, the likelihood of you making a career over there and be very successful is just very low. Just choose the private sector and choose something that you can level up quickly with.
Yeah, it's nice what you mentioned, like your situation, and then like we compare it with my situation, because like I think that we have like people at the audience that they have like different ages. So, for example, you in your case, like we're speaking about somebody who is in the early 20s and the late 20s. For example, in my case, I am in my late 30s. So the situation is that, yeah, when you are in your 20s, like do not expect that you are going to have like some money and immediately you are going to start to make your business run, and that is going to start to print money. It's not like that. Just like in your case, like maybe you will need to go to work for a company. You will need to learn like some experience, some expertise, to make some capital and stuff. And then like when you feel like ready with your idea and stuff, like you will go and you will do it. And that's the situation. Like right now, like my case is like this, but also when I was on my 20s, like I was working. I was just working, 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 working. And as we say, like you have to grind it, because there is no other way. Like if you have not the privilege to have like some parents that have a huge budget, and you can go and say like, yeah, well, like I'm planning to do this and this business, like I need some money, and they give it to you. Well, if it's not that the case, like it needs to go just like this. Go somewhere to a company in where like you can do like some job that is going to give you some experience into the future. Work in there, save as much as you can, make as much money as you can, and then later like start to plan like what is going to be like your business.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, indeed. Like, I've what I found very important is that yeah, like in the beginning, of course, in your 20s, that there's nothing wrong with working a job. Like,
Yeah, no.
of course, that's
Yeah,
an
no, 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 no. It's cool that you mentioned it, because the many people at the audience, they go to Instagram and to all social media and stuff, and they see like these kids that are in the early 20s, and they are like driving Lambos, like some other supercars, like traveling private and stuff. Like, no, I mean like that is possible. That's the deception, but that's like one people among 1 million. Like maybe it's not the rule. So like do not expect that you are going to be like that.
Yeah, indeed. And especially in the beginning, it's okay to work a job, but
Hmm.
plan your moves ahead. Plan your moves ahead all the freaking time. Like, plan, okay, like, right now I'm going to jump in this job to make the cash to start a side business, or go freelancing on the side. Especially because right now, especially right now, that's like, everything nowadays is so expensive. Like, your housing, like, your food, like, so you definitely, if you want to level up financially, you need to have more than one source of income. So you should think consciously of that, like, and where you're going to get the money from. But nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with working a job, especially when you're just out of high school, or when you're just out of the university. you know that is Those jobs, they function for you to learn about business, and to learn as much as you can, and later apply that to whatever you want to do. Don't But yeah, like, don't expect, especially when you start a business, don't expect that it starts to print money like the day after tomorrow, or tomorrow. Even, you know what we do on this podcast is that we're, like, we tell people the way it is. And if we made mistakes, for example, that's why we shoot this episode. We made mistakes. That's that if we talk about it to others, and others learn from it, it could save them so much money and so much time. I could have made so much money if, for example, like, I hadn't screwed up with some prospects that I had in a pipeline when I was copywriting. It could have made me so much money, but I screwed up, and it's because yeah, I made certain mistakes, and we speak about this openly. Like, yeah, these are the mistakes that we made, and it cost us a lot, and others, the reason that we speak about is sort others can learn from it. So yeah, and again, like plan your moves ahead always, but think about yeah, don't think that working a job is somehow is
Yeah.
is
Yeah, definitely.
lower
Yeah.
is lower
Yeah, it's not
is
lower.
below is just low or
Mhm.
something.
Yeah.
Of course, like driving expensive cars, all of that will be possible at some point for you if you keep working. But yeah, think about like think plan your moves ahead and think where your skills come uh, come in the best.
Yeah, it's was mentioned is part of the brainwashing. Like you are going to make it. The situation is that you are not going to make it like that fast. The all that shit that we see on the media, on the social media, most likely some of that is real, but like I will say that most of it, like 90% of it, like is fake. Actually, I dedicate a couple of hours, like to make investigation. Like how can I make a profile uh, on uh, on Instagram and in social media to make me look like extremely rich? And I have to say that yeah, it's possible. It's something that it's something that is affordable. Actually, you just need like a good. You just need a good photograph. You just need a good Photoshop editor and some good video editor, and then like voila, like you can do it. Like those these all these supercars, like you can rent them, and you can say that they are like yours and show off and stuff. It's the same with the private with the people like flying private, like all these trips to exotic places and so on. Like yeah, like I check it and actually yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, even renting, for example, a private jet, like just for example in Europe, to just fly from one location to another. If you have a group of friends, it's actually not expensive to just take a flight, for example, from the Netherlands to I don't know, to somewhere to Spain. You can, if you have a group of friends, you can get it for yeah, for less than €1,000, I believe. If you have so it's not that all of this is like so expensive. Like you can rent a private jet, you can rent a yacht.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
like
that's the
we're not
situation.
like if we wanted to do that, we had already done it. We had already done it because we can do it.
Yeah.
But that's not what we worry about. That's not what we are about. We are
No, no, we
seriously
are
like
about
yeah, like really like putting in the work. So that's not for,
yes.
okay. Of course, like I understand. Yeah, nowadays that your Instagram profile and like online and showing off, that of course that it matters, but you need to think, okay, like how am I really going to change my reality? How am I really going to level up financially? How am I going to get like another source of income? That type of stuff. How am I going to learn the skill sets necessary so that I at some point that my income takes off that my income takes off exponentially. you know I I know many people that the moment I started to get copywriting clients, they were constantly asking me like, how are you do it, how are you get all of these big projects for like such amount of money and such. And I told them like, yeah, this is the type of subjects later on that I found like, okay, this would be super valuable if we put it in a podcast. So that's right now like the reason that we shoot this type of content.
Yeah. The as you mentioned it, like we are not in here like for faking. Like we are giving you the advices in here so you can go and like really make it or break it. That's going to be like do not be afraid of the failure. Do not be afraid of the possible like even shame. I would say because I think that's another important factor, and we're not like mention it. When you start a business and then like somehow you fail, you will see that the people that around you, like if they really are not your friends, they will start to make you feel ashamed of that you failed with your business. Oh yeah, well, like you had this business and it was like so easy and everybody's like doing something similar and stuff, and somehow you manage to fuck it up. Like really, uh, don't be ashamed of failure. Like everybody's failing. The only situation is that who is not like failing is because they are not doing anything with their fucking lives. Even even if we have these situations that you will lose your friends from years because you started a business and then you failed your business, and they are going to say, yeah, well, like if I were you, like I will do like this and like that and so on. Well, okay, motherfucker, but I just started the business and I did like this and I failed. So if you know like that way too much, like why you did not go and make the shit? That's the deal, like if you think that you are like that good, why you didn't do it yourself? First step. And the second one is like never get an advice, never listen an advice from somebody who has not a business of their own. If somebody comes and gives you an advice, okay, like I will listen to your advice, but I need to check like what is your background? Like, do you have a company of yourself? Is this company like having some competitive advantage? Is that competitive advantage like really being explode and like you are like printing monies? If it's not the case, like do not waste your time. Go somewhere else and take the advice from somebody who is like doing it.
Yeah, indeed. And yeah, like we mentioned, like don't be ashamed to give to admit that you have made mistakes and that you're going inevitably you're going to sooner or later you're going to fall flat on your face in business. It's going to happen. So I mean, it happened for me, and I'm still happy that I did it, and I will start a business again, and at some point I'll fail again, and I'll keep trying up until I'm rich, and that's it. I there's no other way. I mean, for me it's important. Like I keep working up until I get what I want. So there is yeah, like don't be ashamed. I mean, the outcome, if you want to really get the outcome and like level up financially, then just keep on working, and any mistake that you make, it's just like, cool, you know, I learned a lesson, Now let's move on so I can build a business on a stronger foundation. So for example, I mentioned this about e-commerce, like yeah, like at some point in the future, I might get back into e-commerce, or I might get back into freelancing. You know,
Yeah,
I know that my foundation is so much stronger right now than it was back in the
back in the
than
day.
even 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Even even then, I learned so much. I learned so much even in the last 3 months. And that is real growth. That's real progress, because all of those mistakes that you make, like they keep on adding up to each other. They add to your skill set, and then at some point, like you use that in other projects, and you're going to make it a success, and going to print money for yourself. But yeah, like whatever it takes, like literally whatever it takes. Whatever it takes to become successful. That's the attitude that you should have.
Yes, the when you mentioned it about like the shame and the and the working for a corporate, well, the people need to understand that you will go in to a corporate job and you will do a job, and the worst case scenario that you can have is that you fuck it up and then like they come and they say, okay, you're out. But the situation when you are like freelancing is that if you do not have like this experience, this background, and even like this maturity, you will make a mistake, you will suffer the consequences, and you will lose your money. And then in that moment, like, it could be devastating. Like, if you go to some forums like Reddit or something, like, even you will find like stories about like people who like make these huge mistakes. They fuck it up like their own money, and at the end of the day, like, they have not the maturity to learn from the mistakes and then restart again. Like, they kill themselves. That's something important that I think that we need to mention.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. And that ties back into the mindset. I mean, any mistake that you made is just like, okay, like, cool, I learned from this mistake and let's move on from there. And
Yeah,
yeah, like some people they get too attached to the mistake that they made, and they just like, well, like right now I'm a failure. No, like you're not a failure. You just learned and that's it. Next,
yeah,
like, what's next? That's all you should ask. It's not like, oh, well, I lost so much money. Oh man, I cannot even if if right now you could if right now I could dial back like I could go back in time, and I could just bitch slap myself and say like, yeah, like here and here, you're making these mistakes, man. That's I I would have had so I would have been so far ahead financially right now. I would have s- I would have many more clients. Uh I would have more money in the bank, like all of that, but I learned from these mistakes, and that is yeah, that added to my skill set, added to my copywriting and my sales skill set, that I made these big mistakes. And of
yeah,
course, it's very easy for everybody to just show off, like, oh, well, like I have all the success, but yeah, like where can you also show like where you screw, like where you,
yeah,
yeah, like
yeah. All
where you
the
screwed up back in the day, because you're not going to get rich if you have no skill sets, like,
Yeah, the other situation is that the you fail, but at the end of the day, you need to start to think, okay, like, I failed already with this project of mine that I have. I lose some money and stuff, but like, you have your head, like, you're healthy. You have your two legs, your two arms, and your two balls. Like, what else do you need to restart? You have everything that you need already. You are complete. You do not need anything else. You fail, like, go back to work to some corporate job, even if you need it, like it's in your case. Make as much money as you can, save as much money as you can, and go and try it again. And really, like, go and try it again. Like, you have everything that you need to restart. Like, go and do it.
yeah. Could you, before we wrap up,
Mm-hmm.
mention something about saving the money and like screwing up with what's the beside the 100K that you missed out on? Is there some business expense or like some investment that ended up going wrong?
Oof. Yeah, I will say that most of my mistakes that I made, actually, I make them because at some point, like, the emotions, like, made me blind. So, like, we have like the most common cases about the cars, uh, about the cars, about like trying to show up with the friends. But besides that, like, yeah, no, like, I make mistakes and I learn from my mistakes, and after that, I was like, okay, like, fuck it, like, yeah, I'm not going to make it again.
Yeah,
So, like, maybe right now that's what allows me to uh like, to keep all the money that I hold now.
yeah, yeah. So we have to wrap up. So I'll
Mhm.
peace everybody out, and we're on to the next one, people, because we have to run. So peace out.
Yes.
Push.